Welcome back to whatever episode this is.
Just another one.
I think we're at like 23. Nah, I can't be right. We only passed 20 like recently. 21, 22? Nah, 21 was... I'm Mitch.
I'm Alex. I was just going to let you ramble there. That's the off-topic bits that you get to when you start getting older.
Yeah, my brain gets a little bit more fried. Been a short turnaround between episodes because last week we recorded on Thursday because I was busy on Monday. So it feels like we were here a couple of days, which we were.
Crazy how it feels like we were here recently because we were here recently. Is what you just said.
That is crazy. I can't believe that. In the last 4 days.
Yeah, it means not a whole lot has changed in the volleyball world.
But like, give us your slay and shame for the last 4 days.
My slay, beach volleyball, actually happened on the weekend.
That's a
yesterday.
dot point in the thing.
That's a dot point. Beach volleyball actually happened.
Yeah. Yes. Finally. And
still
sucked anyway.
Horrible weather. Actually, it was so nice in the morning. Shook off some rust.
We're going to get your partner on the podcast so that we can be... Or A, we can be Mitch squared. And B, we can really out you whether you're a good player or not.
He was very...
Be honest. Go on.
Grumpy. Very earned his disappointment in me. I was all right. I actually was surprised that normally when I first make my return to beach volleyball, my arm swing's good and like other stuff is fine, but maybe my passing's taking a bit of a hit or my blocking reading's just taking a hit.
Yeah.
But my blocking was actually near perfect on the beach.
Near perfect.
Actually, I'll give myself that pat on the back. In our first game, actually, maybe it's a negative that like I didn't get a lot of kill blocks actually.
But you just got a lot of block
passes. I had 4 blocks in one rally and then like
and you couldn't kill the rally?
I couldn't kill the rally. I kept beach volleyball like the thing is getting it and throwing it and I kept directing it to
the defender,
to the best player. Fuck. My bad. But got a lot of blocks later on. A fair few kill blocks there.
Yeah.
Did net touch once across the day. That's not
so your
too bad.
blocking was not perfect by any means.
No, pretty perfect. That's perfect. It happens.
Okay.
Setting was fine. Only got called for a couple doubles across the day. That's a win.
Fair enough.
One carry.
No surprise.
On the sand, got called for a carry.
That's rough for you. Normally it's an indoor.
But made it through like out of pools and then the weather was so bad later on in the day. So
what time did it start raining? Like 11?
It started raining early and then it went away again and it was nice. And then it came back with
a vengeance.
A horrible headwind or I guess tailwind if you're on the other side of the court.
Yeah.
From South Melbourne Beach, really you get used to it always coming off the water, the wind. It was coming from inner city off land, which I don't know why it was doing that this weekend, but it really rattled my brain a little bit because...
It would be odd. It's always the other way.
It's always the other way. It's always that one side of the court, back corner that's the bad end and bad corner, and it was the opposite. So...
imagine having to adapt on the sand.
Yeah, tough. But I had a good...
So what was your... Was that your slay?
That's my slay.
All right, what's your shame?
That I got a little pink.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I can see it.
A little light sunburn on just under the cheeks. A little rosy.
I'll have to do some colour correction to make you look a little less red.
A little flatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Because I don't know, maybe I had reapplied.
It was UV 11.
I'd reapplied, but because I knew the UV was still high.
Yeah.
But maybe the wind and the rain helps wash it off.
Yeah.
But not too bad.
Okay.
Anything good happen for you? Anything bad?
I got a shame. I was meant to do a gym session this morning and I woke up and clearly you weren't awake and I was like,
yeah. I was going to join you, but I said I was sore. And then also I slept in.
And then you slept in and you were later.
Yeah,
that's all right.
But no gym session this morning.
Nah, I'll do it when you leave because I don't have training tonight, so it's good.
Yeah, actually very good.
Slay for me over the weekend. I don't even remember. I had a really I needed just to rest this weekend. Like I just needed to have some me time. So I nerded out on my new video game, Flight Simulator, which is great for my brain because it's super detail orientated. And then, I watched Arcane. That was slay.
I haven't watched it, but a lot of people are liking
Arcane is slay, yeah. I'm not really an anime guy, but I just could get around that sort of, it was very visually cool. So I don't know, I just really liked it.
And good soundtrack into that. And
amazing.
You're a loser, so you like that.
Whoa, okay. I hate it here. Moving on, national and local scene stuff. There's really nothing other than beach now. We've probably gone real past the tournament season the tournament season will slightly pick back up after Christmas. Actually, that's a lie. There's
not really.
There's a Spikers tournament this weekend.
Oh.
Which I know a few people are going to, but it's not a big tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about the beach round. Did that run well?
Yeah, it did.
Al always Big Al, the guy who runs it, he always does a really good job.
I don't know how he does it. We talk about player coaching or coaching as a player.
Imagine
coaching a game and then playing.
Running a tournament as a player.
Yeah, I mean, our court did actually get a little delayed because he had an issue that like one of the nets down the beach fell over. I don't know, the pole, one of the temporary metal pole ones, the extension ones. I think someone knocked it over.
The hole was not big
Didn't
enough.
hear the fiasco, but he was meant to play and then had to dip down the beach, so the warm up got extended, postponed, and whatnot. Yeah. So that would be so much harder than being
play
a coach.
coaching. Yeah.
Being in charge of all that. He does a good job to still
really,
be
really good job.
bloody incredible. He was one of the people that I kept directing block touches towards.
Because
he was actually playing defender, a bit of defender as a big man.
He
was playing with international player I can't remember the name of, but who was also tall, and
I was like,
that was split blocking and or.
I was going to say, he must have been huge then.
Yeah,
He's Big Al. Well, that's
but
why.
he just gets his on defense. Just I swing a ball and he sets it.
Just
The
hit it
new
harder.
beach meta.
Just hit it harder.
Yeah. But yeah, the weather sucked.
Yeah. Okay. Internationally, not a lot changed. I mean, we did our ladder updates. On what?
Yeah,
Thursday.
because that was Thursday.
So there's only been one round difference.
But even then, like the SV League, the Japanese League, actually there'd be no ladder difference because they play their double headers on the weekends.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, they do. So
Yeah.
they would be updating their ladder right now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the Plus Liga now. I do know that JSW played Luke Lubin, which is Leon's team versus Thomas Fornal's team, and they got romped 3-0, which is an interesting result. Otherwise, not a lot there in the Tauron League, the Tauron Liga. I'm just going to say league. I'm assuming Liga is like, or the LIGA is just like Polish for league, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Someone tell me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, but that's okay. Not a lot of movement there. None, actually. It's the same ladder. I don't even think they've updated this since last I looked at it. Take us through the other leagues.
The Japanese league, because the games would have just happened, their ladder would have just ticked over. But Osaka Marvelous has moved to the top of the ladder.
Ooh.
11 wins, 3 losses, and then Ogo Saitama in second. So that's a flip of the top. They're actually on the exact same win rate. Sorry, that's just win rate. I can't see their set percentages, but
you have to imagine that one
set
team
percentage
has
is better because
more.
they've jumped
Yeah.
from second to now first.
Yeah.
I don't remember if they matched up against each other this weekend. I should have actually seen that. And the men's side is the same as always. Osaka Blue Tion. And then Stings, JTech Stings and
Wolf Dogs.
Wolf.
So we can pretty much say Ran's team, TJ's team, and Namir's team.
Who would have guessed?
Wait, who's on
Suntory's
Suntory
the
is... who's on Osaka? Oh, it's
Onodera's on the
Sunbirds.
Yeah.
No, but who are the past hitters? It's
On
Ran,
Sunbird.
isn't it? Ran and Alexander Slivka on Sunbirds?
They are not on Sunbirds. Mazurski's on Sunbirds.
And Ran Takahashi, I swear I'm looking at him. Go down. Down. Next to...
Oh, Slivka's there.
Yeah. Is that not Ran Takahashi next to him?
Oh, it's translated funny. That is Ran. Sorry, his picture, that's Ran. But for some reason, it's translated to AI Takahashi.
And then who's...
That's not right, is it? Don't know.
Who's
translation
who's
is
on
funny.
the Blue Attack? Quick.
Blution. Quick. Osaka Blution. No.
'Cause I get these two teams confused. Nishida and who are the past hitters? Oh, and Thomas Jeschke. And I think they have...
They have Yamamoto as their libero.
Miguel Lopez.
They do have Miguel Lopez. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Stop mixing them up.
Sorry, I mixed them up.
The translation really threw me off because that is what
That is
Ran
Ran.
looks like. I was like, that's him. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know that. Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. We're not going to do CEV Champions League today because there's been no matches.
Yeah, it's really funny seeing that the legs are broken up like that.
Yeah, so the women's will play their third leg. I believe it's this week or this weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the men play sooner though. The men will happen before.
Is that their third leg?
Yeah, they're round 2, leg 3.
Oh, so women's will be on leg 4.
Yeah, women will be on
week.
leg 4 in 8 days.
Yeah. I really need to update my fantasy teams. I've
Long
been
while.
so slack. Yeah, I've been really, really bad. Alex, what are we talking about today? What's the topic?
Well, today we're going to talk about captaincy, leadership.
Yeah.
How to be a volleyball captain, who should be a volleyball captain for your team.
Just building off of like the trials conversations we've had over the last few episodes.
Yeah.
I think it's important that coaches and players and teammates pick, not that it's super important, but it can help you as a team, as a player, as a teammate, as a coach, like to have a good leadership group and or captain.
Because it helps put your team in a good spot to immediately develop and train well and work
And talk about
and
the
get
second,
the
second topic, which is team chemistry.
Yeah.
Which is very important.
Yeah, teams live and die by whether they work well as a team. In a team sport, teams can be thrown off by negative presences and whatnot.
This could be a bit of a hot take, and I could get flamed by some teammates of ours, but I would argue that not this year. This year we had a great year, team chemistry-wise. Last year, not a great year, team chemistry-wise, and I think our result showed that by not making finals where we normally would make finals.
Yeah, I think it was actually...
It wasn't terrible. It was just like not as
Because when you think about it,
clean.
not a whole lot changed.
That's true.
But it was just, maybe it was losing. We were losing for a bit.
We didn't
and
handle
that
it as...
kind of threw it off and threw off our plan of we actually have to work a lot harder to win. And then like we just sort of... We strung it back together. I think we're actually pretty all right going towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it was just like that. We had a very, very slow start. I think we
do sometimes have.
We are known for
I've had a couple. There was a few years earlier that we had to win 8 games in a row to make finals.
It was 10.
It was 10 games in a row to make finals.
I'm telling you, Gus's speech lives rent free in my head about we have to win 10 games in a row. No one thought we could do it, and we managed to do it, and then we got whacked in the final.
I'm telling you, I was missing the start of the season, and that's what changed.
I don't know about that one. I'm pretty sure he didn't play after because we had our other opposite that year, didn't we?
Yeah, but he was also missing at the start of the season.
Who was playing opposite then?
I don't really remember.
It was probably me.
I wasn't there.
It's probably me. That's probably why we said
I missed, but I came back. I think I only missed the first couple of rounds, and then I came back, and then
we kept losing, and then we won after that.
Yeah. So it wasn't me. But.
All right, but actually, so starting with I'm joking actually, by the way. Like our team chemistry is great. What is so like this is my point, and this is something that I'm a real firm believer in, because it's also important too that there's some players in our team and other teams I've played in. It's not like a detriment or anything. It's just sometimes if you play for a lot of different teams over your like career, you can get a bit of a perspective on what makes a really good leader versus what makes a not so great leader. But what I've noticed recently, especially with having a couple of different captains over the last 5 or 6 years, with like AVL and other teams, and then having to coach teams and also being in a team, something that I notice is that there are definitely different types of leadership styles, but the most successful is always going to be a captain that leads by example. And that was the one consistent thing that I saw across every team, and the one thing that I just don't think you could have a good captain without that.
Yeah.
I think you have to lead by example. I think you have to, I've got here like, you have to have really high levels of effort, high levels of work rate. You have to really put in, and it's important for people to see that. I think, you know, like Mike is our captain and he really works hard. Like he's always working hard at trainings, diving for balls in games and stuff like that. And I think that's really important for him to not only us to see that and go, well, you know, shit, our captain's working really hard. Like it's time for us to work. It also works the other way where he sets that expectation of going, I'm working really hard. That's the expectation. We've got to match that as a team, as a group. And I think that's really good quality to have as a captain. And I've had a lot of other captains like in my home team in Queensland. It was a very, very, very quiet captain in that team. And he was just one of those guys who was just like, I don't need to say that much. I'm just going to show you what I want to see from you by me doing it. And that was sort of like the only thing we got.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to actually be that player, but you still have to fulfill that role. Whether it is coming up to me and directly saying, hey, you need to do more.
Can you please defend?
Demanding more just directly. But there's it is just like we're having a little think tank here about what players can actually be and who fills that role. But there's so many different ways you can get that, but the outcome is the same. You need to adjust to the players that are in the team or where they are and what they are doing at that time, and ask more for them to be more contributing to the environment.
And I think part of that is maintaining relationships within your team, because one thing as well is like some people, this is predominantly speaking men's volleyball, I think, from like obviously my experience is only with men's, but coaching women's, maybe this can apply, but I think you need to know like who needs a bit of a spray. Like, and like that can be something that like, there's a way to deliver that, and we'll get to like delivery in a little bit. But some people thrive off that. Some people really need to be like yelled at to like, I need to, like, you're right, I need to like go and do that thing. Other players don't respond well to that. And I think that's part of like maintaining relationships, is understanding like who is going to get better from that and who is just going to go into their shell and feel like I'm just yelling at them because they're bad. Where it's like, no, I just need you to come out and do this role, and that's really tricky as a coach.
Because it comes from a different perspective. It comes then from a mutual, rather than a coach telling you, sometimes doesn't ring the bells in your head the same way as essentially you're mutual on a team. There's nothing separating you from them other than a bar under their number. But if they demand something of you, but then also like recognizing players that do it, and then even different environments, different times of the year may be very different. On the sand, I need to get shaken by my beach volleyball partner here and there. It's happened over the years.
Mitch needs to give you a bit of a yell.
I get a little shake. I get a little come on, and it works there. Versus, we even spoke about this actually over the beach round, that I play beach volleyball very sedentary, calm, whatnot, a bit carefree, and just wander through. And I'm calm, so I need someone to shake me. Versus indoor volleyball, I have a little bit more gusto, and fire. So then, like, it sort of depends on who's around in the environment and what that, then you can temper that as a captain and go, I need to make this a good environment for them. And even then, a captain's role can be to communicate perspectives from a coach to a player without being above them, being like, oh, you want more court time? You got to do this.
No, I agree. And I think it's really tough for captains to find that line of setting the expectation versus it can go very negatively into like, I'm just yelling at players at this point. So it's tough, but again, maintaining relationships I think is going to help with that. Do I think you should just be yelling at your players all the time? No, but like, it's sometimes it's like, again, delivery is everything. You can't just be sitting there saying like, oh, you're fucking shit, this, that, way. Like that ain't going to do anything. But
give someone a positive here and there.
Yeah, but like if you genuinely, like I'll use, I don't know, I guess there's not really an example to be had that I can think of in recent memory, but sometimes if we're being really lazy in a certain aspect, sometimes we need to call that time out and say, we need to do this immediately. Otherwise we're getting ripped off court. Like sometimes you need that kick in the ass to, especially at our level and at AVL level, like sometimes you just need that. But again, you're not going to know who can handle that and who can't handle that without knowing them as a person. And that's my whole maintaining relationships. But you've got setting expectations there. And I really like that because setting the expectation that we are here to perform is really important if you're going to be in a high performance environment, like about what we accept, what we don't accept.
Because it helps communicate to players that everyone on the team has a role and the captain's role is to make sure everyone knows that they are contributing to the same thing. Because some players in a squad of 14 aren't starters yet or are maybe veteran roles and whatnot, but they all contribute, and a captain needs to make sure people know that they are still contributing so people don't get slack or lax or step back. So it is just important to enforce that, I reckon, because it can change like the attitude, like it can change the attitude of players. A captain demanding people to be invested in the team that they're a part of. No matter what background that other player is coming from, maybe some players might have been a part of a team longer than the captain, but the captain can still change an attitude. It's possible to change attitude of players.
Possible. I think going into that, like if you as a captain make someone feel valuable, they are more willing to buy into a change of attitude, change of culture, like whatever it may be. Like I think, creating this empowerment within your players is just going to give you so much more team chemistry, which we'll get to in a bit. But like you as a captain, if you can feed your teammates with empowerment and like make them feel valuable, even if it's your 14th guy, I was like this year in our team specifically, I took on the role of more of like a bench player because we had a couple of new passes that were just far better than me, and I was happy to sort of sit on the bench. But we had the conversation, myself and the coach and the captain this year, that like, my job was to be like the new guys in the team on the bench. Like they needed to have a role and it might be to sit on the bench the entire time. But we spoke about how much better we are when our bench is up and about and it's loud and stuff. So like that was my feeding that like empowerment through. And I think first time really doing it, I think I did an okay job. Like it's tough to stay motivated when you're on the bench, but someone's got to do it. Someone's got to, and I thought that was good.
It makes transitions onto court easier when things are going poorly, changes easier, makes training environment better because, yes, you can be a great trainer, but the point of training is to play and be involved in that game day team environment. So you can sort of clock out of training if you're clocked out of games as well.
Yeah.
They sort of contaminates everything for the whole week.
But if you have great role clarity, and again, if you are giving as like a captain / coach, like you're making all your players feel, again, I will use that empowered quite a bit this episode, but like, that was the thing for me. Like I knew I was a bench player, but I felt like I was giving value because I knew that I either had to keep the guys on the bench really, really engaged or I had to come and relieve someone off the court. Like that was my job this year. And I don't know, I think we were way better for it, having not that it was all me, but like I'm just saying, like we had a really good group of guys on the bench because in the past, in other teams I've been a part of, it's really easy to have a group of guys on the bench that are like, like I want to be on the court, I want to this, that, and it's just like, then when they get on the court, they're not emotionally invested, and it's a bit of a sticky transition. Like,
I've been very lucky over the years that like I've always been a part of very good team environments. Whether I'm sitting as that back player as well, like knowing, I actually want to be there. I want to see other people win, even if it's not me directly, and I can help that in these ways. And probably my captains have been the biggest part of that.
Yeah. I think this year especially it was a big, not necessarily like adjustment, but this year it was really like, like that's how powerful that is. When you've got 14 guys all invested in the same goal, like that's really hard to stop.
Because then like sort of a counter opinion that I think has become more common across teams. So we sort of introduced, I mean, it's actually, maybe it's always been there since I've been there, is also having a leadership group.
Yes.
To just have multiple players that can all
step in,
have their perspective and step in and demand because people can't always be on top of everything. And sometimes like maybe a captain has a bad game, who's the next up to take that role of demanding that the team shows up. And if it's all shouldered by one player, that's a very tough ask.
Tall order. Yeah. Well, like I had never really considered a leadership group as a coach until I was a part of it in the team that we're in. Like we have a leadership group. And then suddenly I was like, this just makes so much more sense. We've got 3 guys that we can all look up to. If one of them's having a bad day, we've got 2 other guys that can steer the ship and be like, it's all right. Like you can't expect the same person to have the perfect day every single time. It's just not fair. I think a leadership group is great. I'm going to not counter that, but I'm going to elevate that again and say that I think in a really good team, and potentially this is something that we're looking to improve in our team now that we've got a bunch of new guys that have been in the team for a couple of years now, something that you and I have done fairly well because we've been in the team for like 6-7 years now, is that like actually everyone in the team can be a leader. It's not about having the bar. It's about like, what do you bring to the table in this group of 14? If you're going to be in a team where you've only got 3 leaders and everyone else just follows and just does like their bare minimum, like awesome. But if you've got a team of 14 guys who are bringing as much as they can and all leading as much as they possibly can, that's probably pretty hard to beat.
There's actually a joke I made with my under-19s. Not that it ever actually happened. Was when a captain goes off, gets subbed off, someone has to raise their hand and say, I'm on-court captain. I joked to my under-19s that I want them to like look at me and me go, I actually have no idea. It could be all of you. Like, because that is good, because captains usually have to have a good awareness of the game as well on court to argue with a ref. So I want to know that every one of my 6 that are on court at that moment would be able to do that job. So if I sub my captain off, I want to be like, it can be you this time. Like, to be able to have that option that, all of you are leaders on the court at the same time.
All of you have leadership qualities. And the bare minimum, in my opinion, of that is just to lead by example. And if you've got heaps of guys doing that, you're in a pretty good spot.
A little point of discussion. Does a captain have to play? Because a lot of people...
Do you and I have different opinions, or do we have the same?
My opinion, no.
I'm of the same opinion.
I think captains, same as how I think coaches benefit from being involved in the game a little bit. You don't have to be an ex-player to be a great coach.
No.
You just have to have the game awareness.
Yeah.
To be a captain, you just have to understand the roles on a team and what players are being demanded of at any time, so you don't overload them with too much and cause someone to crash. But so being a playing player helps because you have that influence on court, that constant communication. But if you have a good leadership group as well, you aren't necessarily needed to be there on court, and you can be a great captain at trainings from that reserve role, as well as we talked about, very different captains existing over my time, your time. You can have loud captains, you can have quiet captains that are quiet leaders.
I think I've only ever been a part of a team like that once, and it would have been back in Queensland, where the captain was sort of the oldest player in the squad, and they weren't really playing that much, but they were genuinely the best player on the team, but they just weren't as athletic. So it was kind of like he would regularly sit on the bench, let the younger guys play, and then if we needed the extra experience and probably less errors.
Load managing.
Less errors. He'd probably sub himself on and play that way. And I thought he was a pretty good leader. Like, I thought he did a really good job to call the timeouts and with the coach, and then sort of be like, all right, this is what we're struggling at. And he led, like, I think a lot of people fall into this trap of when you say lead by example, that means, we need a kill right now. I need the captain to go and hit a kill. Yeah. It can be that. And I've played with a captain like that, and where sometimes he was a really great captain. He played Pirates and that sort of stuff. And he was that kind of man of few words. If you needed a point or if you needed someone to make a defensive effort, he was that lead by example. But this other captain in the team who was on the bench, that lead by example was always being positive, always being calm when it was very high panic situations, and always settling the ship. And then at trainings, it would always like that. So I think it can be done, but it's got to be the right person.
Yeah. As a player, I've only had one captain over the last couple of years at State League, so I can't inflate his ego too much.
No, we've got to be careful.
I mean, everyone in volleyball jokes like, Seto is a MVP position. Setters just get recognised for all those awards. Yeah. They just get all the things. But setters as a captain they can't ever be the person that hits a kill. They can't ever be the person that does it. But being able to say, hey, we're really struggling, I need you to do this, and instilling trust in other players and that sort of respect is so crucial in tough games, tough moments.
No, it is. And we've made the argument of Libros being captains as well. And I think there's a couple of Libros out there that would make really, really good captains for the same reasons. Is that, like, leading by example isn't necessarily going out and hitting winners. It can be just being really calm and just leading by work rate, celebrating other people's success, and just being a good teammate, which is way harder than it is. Like, it's, both of you and I are in trials at the moment, and that's what makes and breaks trials for some people. Is like, oh well, you're as good as that guy, but you just don't have the same qualities. Maybe, like, it's tough.
We'll take a little break for our midpoint sponsor before we come back to talk about what makes good team staff.
This episode is brought to you by Andor Financial.
Now, as some of you know, a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, and our Melbourne Uni Renegades captain, Michael Cirillo, has recently started his own mortgage broking business.
Not only this, but Mike and Andor Financial have committed to supporting and sponsoring Net Talk for the indefinite future.
If you didn't know, Mike has spent the last 10 years in the finance industry in both financial planning and mortgage broking roles, and is super passionate about empowering people to take control of their financial future.
So you, or if anyone you know is in need of a home loan or would like to review their current lending situation, reach out to Mike and Andor Financial.
You can find out more information in the footnotes or description down below.
Thank you again to Andor Financial for sponsoring Net Talk.
Because now we're back, because a little bit
I love the way you do that every
just
week.
straight back.
It's so... I actually, every time I'm editing it, and it's just like, it just is so funny.
You're like, oh shit, wait, we're back already?
Back. Yeah,
Damn
it's so funny.
oh, no.
Anyways. So, like team chemistry.
Team chemistry and being a good player, a part of a team is as crucial at trials. It's really hard to evaluate sometimes at trials.
Because you don't know who's going to work well together when you get to a team high pressure environment.
Which is almost why you move people around. You go, oh, wait, they play at school together. They've played together for the last 3 years. Let's actually make them hate me for the next half hour because I'm going to put them away from everyone else.
Yeah. I got a bit of that on Thursday, I'll admit.
That wasn't evaluating that player. That was just because
it was funny.
Yeah.
It was actually...
It was just to evaluate others.
It was to evaluate other people. I already knew what that player was capable of. Yeah.
Which is sometimes hard because some players will take that differently and be like, oh my God, I got moved.
Nah, I had a chat to her. I was like, yeah. But I think that's important too.
I'm like, that's good characteristic is knowing what the coach needs at that time, and hey, they don't need to see me right now. I'll get my chance later.
Yeah. So team characteristics, and this is all about like building chemistry. Like if you're starting from scratch or it's a new year, like there's nothing wrong with you just starting from scratch here and going from the top. But the biggest thing for me, I think, is mutual respect. I don't think it matters how good you are compared to the rest of your team. Like it's win together, lose together. And if you mutually respect each other, it's just such an easy gateway into trust and feeling included and
versus how acidic it is when you know a player feels like we're not losing together, we're losing because of this.
And if
we're
you don't
losing
have
because of you.
Yeah, like we don't have that respect for each other, it just can cause so many issues. So I think that is one big thing. Another big thing, which is, it sounds small, but I explained it the other day to the group of women that were trialing for the team that I was running, is I want to see people who can celebrate other people's success, because if you've got a team of 14 of that's pretty hard to beat. Like that's genuinely, you got 14 people that can only lock in on the positives, and every positive is a win for them. That is, even if they don't win that year, it won't be long until they win.
It makes the successes feel so much bigger.
Yeah.
And it also makes everyone feel like they have more successes, because rather than me only getting the 3 things I do good over a game, I get your 3 things. I get your 3 things too. And then all of a sudden I have way more things.
Yeah. And then everyone feels valued. Yeah. Everyone has that mutual respect. Like it grows and grows and grows and grows. The other thing is, this is a little bit tougher. You kind of need to have a fairly good captain or coach or leadership group for this. But I think a team should be, I know this is the next one, but in terms of like team setting goals, everyone should buy into the vision of that. Yeah. Like it's annoyingly easy to sit back and be like, nah, I'm just here because I want to do this. Or I'm just here because I'm with my friends, or I'm just here because I want to get really good at this position, or like whatever it is. It's very hard to say, yeah, I'll buy into that vision, whether it's I'm going to buy into the next generation of this club, or I'm going to buy into the next generation of, or I'm going to switch positions and buy into the vision of this team making finals because we've never done that, or we've like whatever. That's really hard, but that's also really powerful.
Because you need to accommodate, this is the point way down the list.
Yeah.
Like accommodating others at where they are in their pathway.
Yes.
Merging that to fit the same vision and where the team is at a whole. Like, yes, you may want to do this now.
Yeah.
But does it contribute to everyone in a positive light, or can you maybe drop that back to 75% and work on this other thing as a whole team to build that team identity?
Yeah, exactly. And then the last thing is really, this one is easy. It just, people can fall into the same traps really easily. But this one, it's such a minimal effort, but just be really inclusive.
Yeah.
Especially like new members in your club, like everyone hears like, oh, it's such a cliquey group in my team. Like everyone hears that, but it's so easy to make people feel included. It's as simple as when you're putting your gear on, go and sit next to them and have it, ask about their week, ask about their weekend. Like it's so easy. And I hate hearing that there are cliquey teams because it's genuinely really easy to get out of.
Yeah, it's so easy to actually do that because you can do it through pre-training, post-training, sit-downs.
And it takes
warm-up.
2 minutes.
It doesn't interrupt anything that you would normally do. No. Hey, when people are putting their gear on, let's sit in this area and you can have non-volleyball related chit-chat.
Especially new team members.
After, when you're doing stretches and probably not stretching as much as you should, have a sit-down and chit-chat. Like outside of like club events, club affiliated events helps so many teams and make the whole thing more cohesive. Maybe improves lower divisions because they actually see the prospect of I can grow up rather than feeling removed from the rest of the club.
And then they'll be less inclined to go to those things as well. That's extreme, but like like you want people to be included, and that's pretty basic, but like it matters. Team goals though. What do you reckon?
It's too much. There's so much variation.
What do you mean? There's it depends what you're coaching. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think rule of thumb, if you're coaching juniors, it's development less so than results.
Yeah.
But results will help juniors feel like they're...
The goals change based on who is anywhere.
True.
Even within a team. Like that's the hardest thing to juggle, but it is making sure that like they all work together.
Like you've put just like not the winning part, which is really important. But just for those who are maybe listening to this thinking like, oh, actually like what other goals are there than just winning?
Yeah.
And you might be curious when Alex says like, there are so many. It's like, what other goals are there? It's like for me specifically with my women's team next year that I'm currently selecting, it's going to be about building an identity. Building an identity and a culture and a brand of volleyball that we're going to build because it's a very, very new group. And I've not even picked it yet.
Yeah.
So it's about like, what does that look like?
It'll even change over trial. Like,
absolutely.
Till the last trial, like, because who is there determines that. How people actually interplay once selections are finally made.
Yeah.
Because and everyone within the team has different things about what it is. It gets simpler at the top teams because it is more often than not
performance-based.
Winning, performance, improving, running new system, maybe improving your outer system work. Lower divisions, it's a lot more fluid because volleyball is social, lower down.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people don't have aspirations to get that much better.
AVL, Prem 1.
Volleyball is a sport that gets more fun the more better you are.
The more better. I love that one.
Because it's just one of those tougher skills. It's not really linked to many junior throwing and catching a tennis ball or kicking a footy like in Australia versus other sports kind of come a little bit more naturally.
Yeah.
So it is just tempering that with the social too. Hey, let's improve and run more fun stuff that you see happen at top divisions.
And just have fun with it.
And have fun with it.
And don't be mistaken into thinking team goals are useless unless you're doing high performance goals. They're not. You can, again, this is another thing that goes back into like getting people to buy in. Talk with the team when you've picked your teams and all that sort of stuff. Create a set of team goals that people can buy into and they'll be way more invested than just the casual come and pick up and play volleyball for a season or whatever. If you're in your lower divisions, like more social divisions. But yeah, team events we've already spoken about.
Because then it's what do you do as a coach in that?
You're very passionate about this topic.
I'm very passionate about the first one that I see.
Go on.
Is AVB trainings, A versus B team.
Yeah.
Because I just think it creates too much segregation between your top team really, because you have a team of 14. So when you get to gameplay, probably the most important part of training is game simulation, game-like drills.
You have to do so much of it to be good.
But it just makes people feel separated from the best players. It also makes the best players worse, I feel. Because you don't get the same adaptability.
It's also rare that like And this, like, it's rare to have a team of 14 that is genuinely that close in skill level. And if you're going to do A versus B, it's just not going to be that conducive to your training environment.
Yeah.
But if you have your best pass hitter and your second best pass hitter on two different teams, helping and pushing against the other pass hitters, all four of them are going to get something out of that.
Or your best pass hitter, your best blocking pass hitter matching up with your best opposite.
Yeah, like it just makes so much more sense to have your best players playing against each other so that they get better and everyone gets better with them, rather than just this stacked team of my starting six is going to flog my bench.
And I'll work through a really quick thought.
Yeah, go.
Often, I think it actually works out a lot better for the B team. I've been on the B team in a couple of teams.
Yeah.
And it does make you work a lot harder to beat the A team.
Yeah.
You know what's really not rewarding for the A team? When they lose to the B team.
It destroys
a couple times in a row or here and there, and then you're adapting stuff because now your A team's morale is shot.
Yeah.
Because what has been working isn't working. And
also, like, it's the easiest way to destroy team chemistry, because suddenly then you've beat the A team, but they still get to play. So suddenly you've lost a bit of trust. And
it's what am I working to?
But moving on to the last thing is, there's a couple more things from a coaching point of view. Same as the captain.
You get the same things as players and captains.
But it's like
captains,
maintain relationships. We spoke about that. Empower your players. I think that's a big one. Because this year coaching men, Res 1 men, we had a massive team of really good players, and I watched them progress over the year. Technically, a little bit. Some of these players are a bit older though, so it can be difficult to add new things to your muscle memory when you're a bit later in your career. The only thing differently that I really did was these specific guys came off of a certain coaching style which sort of emphasized the negativity of errors. But once I sort of not empowered them, but was sort of like, we should shift towards being okay with making the right kinds of errors and being way more aggressive. Suddenly the team, I thought, got really, really good and better. But we were suddenly doing things that we wouldn't have done without that extra like confidence.
Yeah.
So I think as a coach, I noticed that personally, and I love it when a coach gives me the tick of like, you got my confidence, go. Like rip a jump serve, compared to like, no, get this in. Like, which one makes you feel good about yourself? Except for when you miss the jump serve. Still like, I hope you kind of get what I mean. Like that empowerment's pretty important. You've got some other stuff at the end there that is pretty good. Yeah,
to shift us to being a player from the perspective of a player, like you don't need to be the top of the team to help training environments, to help team stuff.
Everyone can lead.
Everyone can lead at any time. And I wrote down all the simplest things. Set up, pack down, ask others to do it.
It's very annoying when only the same few people do it.
I know, but it's because some weeks you don't feel like it. Fair enough. I get that.
But if it's the whole season,
do the stretch on your side.
If it's the whole, you do that. I do that sometimes as well.
Sometimes, but I help enough.
We're gonna get some messages in our group chat soon after this.
Damn it!
It's a small thing, but it can help.
Yeah, but then I'm also like being ready to jump into drills and understand drills and help others understand drills from demonstrations. Pay attention to the ones you've done before. Understand as a player why a coach is doing this for your team, what your team is lacking at that moment, and why, hey, we do need to work on our high ball setting and our attack against a well-formed double block, and don't just go, but I still want to work on my sharpest cross angle.
Yeah.
Go, maybe I need to work on my tip, my off hitting, my other options, and be a lot more
like dynamic as a player.
Yeah, dynamic and fluid in what it is.
Again, buying into your team vision, like we decided, a long time ago probably, that we were going to be a low error team, win through the middle. So we've slowly over the years developed into that, and you don't really get to that if you're going to go into drills going, I'm just going to hit this ball as hard as I can.
And you as a player can do a less bravado stop of a drill when it's going wrong. Like coaches and captains probably have free reign to do that whenever they feel, hey, stop this, get this back, we need to do better.
Yeah.
But you can tap the person next to you and go, hey, let's pick this up.
Yeah.
Let's start talking a bit more. Let's actually move our feet a bit more.
And once two people do it, then three, then four.
Because you tap
then
someone, they tap someone else. That's the whole team, and you don't actually need to get to the big, grandiose.
big have a drink and let's come back and do it better.
Yeah.
The last thing is we talked a little bit about like, you know, as a captain, as a coach, as other players, like, you know, sometimes you need a little bit of a light spray. And I'll say a light spray because I genuinely don't think I'll never condone any sort of like negative yelling. But I think delivery is super important. It can very quickly tiptoe the line between you are just pretty much degrading someone and their ability to play versus you are giving them the kick that they need to really go out there and perform. Coaches know how to do it best for the most part. Sometimes players can not quite get it right. But I think the best place to start is always like, what would you want done to you? And if you're a player that thrives off of a little bit of a like, not like I say, I'll describe it as a light spray of like, hey, come on, you need to pick this up. Like that is probably the borderline of anything more negative than that, and you're tiptoeing the line of like you're just
because it is almost a respect thing. Asking a player, maybe this is now like the extremist thing is like, do you want to be here?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
Is it to get better? Well, I want you to work towards that with me, with the team. Let's put in a bit more. I probably as a coach need to get better at actually communicating that. Hey, you just here coaching juniors, you just here because your parents dropped you off? Or do you actually want to get better? Do you want to play 10 years down the track?
Yeah. And which team is that going to be? Is that an Prem 1 team or a Res 1?
Yeah, like, it's hard to communicate that.
Especially for your juniors.
And you've got to control your tone and stuff rather than maybe keeping it too unserious the whole way of like, come on, let's play. It's like,
but also like, there's no really, it's annoying. We just talked a lot about like what to do and what not to do, but like, there's not really any absolutes. Like some environments like European volleyball, I'm sure they just love to just spray each other. And that's probably the expectation because they're getting paid and all that sort of stuff. But we're not here. I think the biggest thing is like, what do you want done to you? Like, what would you want to be said? Like what, if you're in their shoes, what is going to be said to you to get the most confidence and performance out of you? What are you laughing at?
I was thinking we're getting awfully biblical. Treat others the way you would like to be treated.
Yes, whatever amendment that is.
Amendment.
Yeah.
It's an amendment of the Constitution.
All right, that was Q&A. We finally we've had it in our notes.
We did do one. So follow the socials, and you could have contributed because we asked people for their favorite volleyball shoes and brands, and
we're going to rapid fire these.
We're going to rapid fire through them.
And if you want to go and buy them, go and buy them.
Or just tell us what you actually use equipment wise and give us a little bit more insight here and there. Let us know because we should have asked NY. Yeah, that was we might run back around to it pre-season when people are actually thinking about it. Because mainly for myself, I'll need a new pair of shoes.
I just bought 2 new, so can't relate. Also, half of these I don't really know what they are.
Well, the first thing that I thought after I posted the question and I said favorite volleyball shoes, and one of the earliest responses we got was volleyball shoes. Ugh.
Yeah.
Basketball shoes are the way to go. And I actually reckon that's been a big shift. Well, basketball shoes are so much better now than they were 5 years ago when I was a junior sort of looking at them. I felt they used to be clunky and really cushiony. But now they're just so agile because that sport is
become so agile. Yeah.
And maybe the volleyball shoes have just volleyball specific shoes have fallen back a bit.
Well, they're not really a thing in Australia. Let's keep that in mind.
That is the market in Australia is bad.
Because if you go on to Under Armour, Nike, Asics, Mizuno's, if you go on their European counterpart websites, like if you put like EU into, they all have volleyball tabs.
Yeah.
If you go into the Australian one, it is only like running, basketball, casual wear, and netball. Like those are the categories. There's genuinely not a volleyball category in Australia because there's just no market for it.
Yeah. Because there was the Nike shoes that everyone was wearing at the old Olympics that were volleyball specific. What were they called? No idea. Something.
No, I'm not.
But I remember looking for them and then was like, I cannot get them.
Oh, they're only,
it kept linking me to the US Nike website and I was like, oh, God. So basketball shoes are the way to go in Australia, I reckon.
I agree. I have basketball shoes.
Yeah.
All right. What are the recommendations we got from the community?
Antipatrick ones. No idea.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them, but I'll look at them.
We've got the generic just Nike basketball shoes.
Well, actually, someone said because they look cute. That is something you got to consider, I reckon.
Some of them are ugly as though. Some of them are genuinely.
I regret my decisions as a child that I had a pair of Asics though, not Nike. I had a pair of Asics that were fluoro. Don't be a fluoro shoe person, I don't reckon. They were like orange green. They looked like a pool noodle. It was really interesting.
Couple of pool noodles on your feet.
Yeah.
We've got here pink. Rate that. All for some pink shoes. KD 14s, that's yours.
That was me. I said KD 14s. That's a bit of an outdated recommendation because nothing
you can't buy
more recent has lived up to the hype. They're at KD 17 now, and I still miss them.
We've got the 361s. So we need some clarification on this. We believe it's a brand, like
an independent brand. But some of these independent brands are linked to larger producers. Way of Wage are linked to Leaning. Leaning is their manufacturer, but they're different. But the 361s are a basketball shoe that has stellar basketball representation as their sponsors of Nikola Jokic. Yeah, amazing. Classic. MVP. Yeah. Then Aaron Gordon and Spencer Dinwiddie as their top three. They should have just kept it anyone that knows basketball, Spencer Dinwiddie is quite a step down.
They should have just kept it at the top guy and just left the other two.
Hey, Aaron Gordon's a good role player, but Spencer Dinwiddie's you're throwing to a
they look ugly. I'm not going to lie. They look a bit ugly.
Yeah, whoever recommended these didn't factor cuteness into their...
Oh, it was Darcy. So
a Libro.
Darcy, we're calling you out. As we regularly call out Darcy on this. Maybe we should just get him in.
Yeah,
we should get him in.
Make him defend himself.
My recommendations over the ones I've had over the years, I'm currently running the Way of Wade 808 threes, I think. The high top ones, whatever they are. 808 cities. I really like them because of one simple thing. My favorite shoe that I ever had, and I had multiple variants of the same one, were the Kobe 10s. Yeah. The high top Kobe 10s. And the Way of Wade 808s are the closest thing I could ever find to that. But the Way of Wades are a little bit more, I don't know, modern, a little bit more stable. I also tried the Under Armour Curries, several variants of them, and they just it wasn't quite for my foot.
I've been chasing the same feeling too. I've had a little bit of turnover over my shoes over the last couple of years.
I'm looking at the list of shoes. They're very wild.
Probably only getting a year and a bit out of each pair of shoes, which is kind of sad. Maybe I do need it.
No, but we play.
That's kind of normal. Yeah,
that's like a year of training 4 or 5 times a week.
But since I had Mizuno Waves, they carried me probably from end of junior to like top of high performance until they were
they're stolen. The brackets you've got here stolen.
They were stolen from my car that got broken into a few years ago. Remember messaging
was that during AVL?
Yeah, I messaged the AVL chat being like, "Hey guys, does anyone have a size 14 that they can bring to training? I don't have a pair of shoes right now." And everyone
did someone actually have any? Did you train that night? I don't remember.
I actually bought a pair of shoes that day. A fair few people offered me their shoes. To bring them. But I had 2 hours and I went into the city and I bought a pair of KD 14s. My favorite shoe ever that came off pretty much instinct. Like I was already researching shoes. Those shoes were at the end of their life. Person that stole my duffel bag from the back of my car got a sweaty knee brace, a knee pad with a hole in it, and shoes that were at the end of their life.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Imagine if they're like listening to this and suddenly you just get they just get you just get a bag delivery at your house and it's like, oh, that's my stuff.
Oh, yes. But the KD 14s were the best shoe I've ever played in. I actually really reckon they had a full length air unit across the bottom that I popped.
Oh, the old flat tire.
Maybe just got a bit fat. They got to the end of their life. So then I went to Jordan 38s, which were the same sole technology, but a bit clunkier, a bit heavier.
All the Jordans I've seen are larger. So chunky.
They were a high top. I actually didn't mind them. This was a little bit, I said, do people vary it based on position? And you said, no, that's dumb. Juniors say that and they're idiots. But hey, I could make do with the Jordan 38s as an opposite because I don't need a move. I just need the cushion. And they had great cushion.
Most of our teammates would disagree with that. But anyways.
I don't need it. I don't need to.
There's a lot of comments about your defense going around at the moment.
And then since swapping to the LeBrons, I've been moving good again.
Okay.
Been moving all right. I've been hitting some dives at trainings.
You hit one dive and haven't shut up about it.
Perfect dive.
Even Kate was there. She's like, oh my God, Alex dived. And I was like, don't inflate his ego.
It was perfect pass. Thank you.
Anyway.
Yeah, the LeBron 21s. But I'll be looking for new shoes. So I'd love to hear people's recommendations on that stuff.
I recommended this guy Way of Wades and the idiot ordered the wrong size.
I do still have them in my cupboard to be resold.
Does anyone want size
15? I've never been upper size. I've only ever been teetering on 13, 14. But I measured my foot using the trace your foot on a piece of paper, measure it.
So you can't draw is what I'm gathering from this whole conversation.
Yeah, probably that.
Yeah. So you didn't get them returned?
I trained in them because they felt nice.
No, I remember you seeing them, but you didn't get them returned and to get your money back?
No, because Well, I'd taken the tags, sorry, because I'd trained in them because they felt nice on my feet. They actually felt like they fit all right. It was just as soon as I started adding a bit of lateral movement,
you could feel the
shoe
space.
felt a bit more. And I was also having toe issues that season, still am. But then also wave weights Australia note wave weights, not good to return. They cost you $70 to return them.
Just get the right size. It's not hard.
Yeah, but it's so hard.
It's not.
Nah, it is.
Puma
shoes, I bought Puma shoes for my marathon. Bought them. They didn't fit nice, returned them.
I actually thought we might get through one episode without having to bring up the marathon.
Nah, you get a shoe that you can return when it doesn't feel nice.
Yeah, but just get the right size.
Yeah, but they still didn't. They felt nice. It was the right size.
But I feel like it's common knowledge that when you buy new shoes, they should be a little bit tight because they will space out a bit.
Yeah, I followed the size guide.
All right, thank you for listening to today's episode. What have we got? Went through what makes a good captain.
Team chemistry
and shoes.
Toe issues.
Okay, let's not make this a foot podcast, please. I refuse. That's a Patreon only thing.
Yeah. Wait,
or a Feet Finder thing. Anyways. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Discord, Spotify, and all the other podcasts. Everywhere. And the comment of the week is, what shoes are your go-to shoes? Are you going to get new shoes? And what shoes are you going to get for 2025? I've just bought 2, so I'm not going to. Wade's having a sale, FYI.
It's hard. I always wait. Last thing. I always wait for the next generation of shoes because the old shoes come out, but they always sell out of my size. So I can never get them on sale. Is that just a frustration?
But is the size that sells out actually your size? That's probably the question that needs to be asked.
That is all from Alex today.
Yeah, are we sure? Thanks for the sponsor of this episode for sponsoring. You can find the description and the more information. You can find the information in the description.
That's enough words from Mitchell too. That's a wrap for this week. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. Catch you next one.